Okay, hello. This is going to be the first part of, I think, a three-part video series of getting started with GarageBand slash Logic and how to use. In the first video, we're going to talk about just recording with a microphone, getting started with all your settings. Second video is going to be adding instruments, and then third video is going to be the mixing process. And it's going to be the very basic elements of it that will get you started and starting to learn on your own how to get further in this. Okay, so first off, we're gonna see how it is when you open your Logic session. You won't have all these tracks. You're actually gonna have just an empty interface, and then this will be the first thing that pops up. So software instrument is gonna be a MIDI keyboard, which I'll show you in the next episode or the next installment. um, this will be recording with just your microphone, and it won't give any sort of effects or anything. It'll just be a plain microphone audio line, which are all the 13 tracks I have right now. This one here is going to be recording with an amplifier on top of your microphone input. So if you record your voice and then you put a distorted guitar, it'll sound like one of those grunge rock vocals. And this is an automatic AI drummer that you add it to your track and you pair it with a certain instrument, and then it'll automatically play along with your instrument that you paired it to. So most of the time you'll pair it to a bass, and it'll start playing at the same rhythm, and it'll associate the kick drum with the bass, for example, and it'll be as if you already have a drummer in your band. But I generally start with this one, and here it'll ask you for your input. Since I have two inputs, I think if you're using like a USB microphone, it might just give you the one option, but I have two inputs. I like to just use one input, and I main the first one, but I'm not going to create one because I already have these created. So the next step, because there might be some issues with how you've set up your interface, you want to go click GarageBand, click Preferences, and then it'll open up this. So this page here has a bunch of information on how to get started. So general here, you don't really have to care about that. But then when you go to audio MIDI, this is the really important part. It took me a couple hours to realize this the first time that I did it, but the input and output device has to be set up. So if it's on system setting, it might go through your laptop or computer microphone built in rather than go through your USB microphone or your audio interface that you have. So here I have both of mine set up to my audio interface. Metronome is just setting up how you want it to sound. You can manipulate that. Advanced will give you stuff about the exports, the thumbnails, and then the audio recording. So movie thumbnail resolution is sometimes you can drag in an MP4 file, and it'll have the video there and also the audio in your track. So that it will manipulate the audio but keep the video completely synced. So you can change that, so just in case you're doing that and the audio was running a little bit slow or something. Export audio projects at full volume, that works too. And then 24-bit, you want to keep it at 24-bit unless you are having certain issues with your CPU not working. Sometimes it'll give you a disk overload, which means that your CPU is overloaded with too much information from the audio files, so you got to turn that off. Other than that, though, this is the main beef of it. You just want to start here. So then you'll click out once it's ready. And now, for example, if I were to go here, click, and then click that icon, now I can hear myself in my headphones. So that is what they call a monitoring system. So anything that you sing will be sung back to you through your headphones. And it works well when you're recording something and you want to hear a little bit extra if you're recording over a bunch of tracks, like if I were to record something right now. So yeah, it's a very important thing to use. More importantly, these little things here, you can see the little icons showing up. This is a mute button. So right now, since everything's muted, if I press play, nothing's going to play. Then you have the solo button, which if I press play would only play this track. And then if I unmuted all of these, then all of them, without the mute track, all of them would play. But I want to have all these muted because I want to go one by one. These are pan knobs. So what this is when you start recording, it'll always be at 0. And then if you want to change the recording to go a little bit to your left so you can have a clearer audio image, you just bring that to the side. Then here's the automation tab. It's a shortcut to just press A on your keyboard and then it'll show up. And you'll see exactly how you can manipulate volume and panning. We'll talk about more of that in the mixing part. If I press B, the controls and EQ will show up. Here you can add plugins right here. You can put a noise gate, which means at a certain level, the audio cuts out. So if you want to get rid of background noise while you're not singing, you can put that at a very low level and it'll cut that out. It'll cut out all the input once you reach a certain threshold. Here you have the audio. 0 decibels is normal. Then when you go to 6 decibels, it's a lot louder. And then as you go to the negatives, it's just minus the average. So you have that. I'll show you how to manipulate the channel EQ and stuff like that. At the top left, you have these buttons. There's library, there's information, or help tool. Then there's the mixer, and then there's a snipping tool. Hold on, this is going to load for a little bit. The mixer is a little bit more advanced. You don't have to use it, but okay. So when you click this, it will actually, if you're having issues with something, you just put your mouse over it and hover, and then it'll give you more information about it. This is a count-in. The count-in will, when you press record, for example, if I were to press record at 21, the count-in will give me 4 measures, and then it starts recording at 21 with the same metronome. To get rid of something, for example, when I just recorded here, I'll do it again. All you have to do is either click or select with a drag and just press delete. So now with this mixer tab, it'll bring up this here, and then if you have a master, you can control the master through there as well. And then the snipping tool will just allow you to cut things here more precisely. I think the shortcut is Control E if I'm not mistaken. I forgot the shortcut. Control T. Yeah. Okay. And then Control Z will get rid, or Command Z. Sorry, Control was wrong. Command was for all those. Command T. So yeah, and then you have limit to key for pitch correction. So this will be auto tune, which I'll show you. I'll enable it later. And then flex will be so you can drag certain parts of it back. So let's say this one syllable was a little bit out of time. You drag it and then bring it to another spot. But I'm not going to do that because it's not needed. So I'm going to press B again, and then it will go back and then gone. So let's get started with just listening and recording through your microphone. So the microphone, you want to have it at an okay gain. You don't want it to be too high because then you'll peak a lot, and then there will be corrupted audio files with popping here and there and distorted little sections. Then if you have it too low, it'll be hard to hear yourself. These are on the lower side because I was just doing it quickly. But generally, my waveforms will look like this one. This one's a good one because I have a little bit of a low gain right now, but this one's a loud audio track, which I'll get to in a second. Okay, so let's get started in talking about just generally recording and the proper etiquette for it. So you want to have your microphone at an okay range with gain, and you want to have it about 6 to 8 inches from your mouth with a pop filter if you can. If not, put like a sock on it. And you're just going to record normally. I would say the best piece of advice is to record a couple times and just get used to how it sounds once you have it recorded. Find the sound that you like the most, and then once you see the mixing portion, you'll get used to mixing better, and you can learn your way around the sound that you like. I know the sound that I like, so I know how I record, but other people have different sounds. Other people have different microphones and setups, so it's going to be different for everyone. But what I do works for me, where it's about 7 inches away from my face, and I have my gain a little bit high, but not really, and I just speak at a normal volume. And then as I change, I'll move back away if I'm speaking loudly or singing loudly. And then if I'm very quiet, I'll go a little bit closer to the microphone, like if I'm doing a soft falsetto. So here, for example, the first one, you can see the waveform is very, very low. And that's because I'm doing a quiet falsetto. I'll play it for you now. Looking back on when I was a little nappy-headed boy. So this is Stevie Wonder's I Wish. So that one right there was a very quiet falsetto. This next one is kind of me speaking with my chest voice.
Looking back on when I was a little nappy-headed boy.
So that's cool. And then the next one is the melody, so I made it the loudest.
Looking back on when I was a little nappy-headed boy.
So there you can hear there's more character to that. Then the next two are the next harmonies.
Looking back on when I was a little nappy-headed boy.
So those are cool. And then next I have the lower harmony.
Looking back on when I was a little nappy-headed boy.
So here in this track especially I have a lot of popping. So here if I press A, we're going to see the automation. I'll go into that in the mixing and how to fix that. But yeah, so this is just me recording over and over again. I doubled. Doubling is a very important thing that you want to do, and whenever you double, you want to pan. You definitely want to pan your audio tracks if they're the same thing, because it gives more character and more space and dynamic to the recording. That's all for this one though. I'm going to come back in the next one with tips on instrumentation and how to use instruments to your advantage.